Welcome back. We're going to continue our development of the services of our Fast API application for the approval workflow. So this tutorial focuses on how the human is dealing with the AI generated content. First, we're going to be looking at the approval workflow. We'll set up some business rules and make sure that only one food description can be published per food product that appears on the front of the store. We're going to update the food model when publishing. So when you update the description, it's going to publish it in the database, and the database will be queried and put onto the store page with a thumbnail and the description of the food. We're going to manage the human state transitions. So a manager, so for example, at OpKey, it would be Jesse Kasman, would see the pending review that was sent over by junior staff, approve or reject it, and then ultimately publish it. All right, so let's go check out these services in the left-hand column. We have the services, and there's a special file called init. And we're going to add a new file to keep things nice and organized. So from the current directory, we're going to review the management. So we'll call it, in our case, review workflow. And we're going to import, which doesn't exist yet, food, food description, review workflow. Workflow, there you go. And down here for all, we'll also add the new file, which doesn't exist yet, food description, review workflow. All right. Now that we know what they want the file to be, let's go ahead and create the file. I'll just go click on that new file icon, and we already defined it. It's review workflow.py. And within this review workflow.py, let's create a little doc string here. Date time, import UTC, date time. Let me think. I don't think we need optional. Okay, so let's import the UUID, and from SQL Alchemy, import select, and from SQL alchemy.extension.async.io, import async session. Boom. From models, import food description and food. From CRUD, which is the file that is in the same directory, we're going to import the food description. Food description CRUD. I think I created this file in the wrong directory, which is why it's not coming up. Okay. Okay, let's create the class. Put two spaces, class, food description, review workflow, colon. And we'll start creating the class here. We'll go static method so we can access it directly without instantiation. It's an async function, def, and we will approve the description. And we're going to have it receive a session, which is an async session from SQL Alchemy right there. So we can talk to the database. We'll have a description ID, which will be from Python uuid dot uuid, the unique universal ID right there. It's from the standard Python package. We'll have approved by ID, and it'll be the same uuid, uuid. And it will return a food description as a list or none. Right, let's start building the code out. You need to await the food description CRUD, which we created the last time, get by ID, and it will be require the session and the description ID. And we know this because you can also look at the file CRUD here and food description ID, get by ID that requires the session and the description ID. All right, so let's go back here. So we will just check to see whether it exists or not. If not, food description. It's not there. We're going to return none. But if it is there, we're going to check the status, food description, and I made an error here. Should just be food description. And this should also be food description none in the file will make sure the status is not equal to, I did exclamation point equal sign, I think it was food description status dot pending review, and then we'll raise a value error. Food description dot status will equal to food description status dot approved, and then the food description approved by ID will equal the approved ID that we are receiving, and the food description dot approved at will be the date time that we currently are at now in UTC, and the food description dot updated at will be the same, right? Date time, which is right now. Okay, now we need to commit the session. So we will await session.commit, and we'll await the session to refresh it from the food description, and then we'll return the food description. Okay. We're going to add a to-do to reject the description if not senior staff, and we'll have another to-do. We're going to publish the description, publish description, only one per food can be published. And we're gonna, okay, so the prove the description and the reject the description is pretty similar. So let's just try to copy it and then edit it. And I'll leave that to do there so that we know that we have to change everything so that it's actually rejecting it. Okay, so the first one is we want to reject the, here we go, description, description. Okay. but we still need to get the food description, right? So this part is going to be exactly the same. And then we'll just check to see what the food description is none. Food description status uh, doesn't equal pending review. Then we can only reject descriptions pending review. So if it's pending review, we either approve it or we reject it, right? So that's why they're so similar. And then the food description status will be, instead of approved, it's rejected. And there's a field for rejected by, let's see, probably rejected by, this will be rejected by, and this one is, okay, I'm just looking at the model. There's no rejected by. So the rejection is approved by. So we just have the ID of the person that made the decision whether to have approved it or rejected it. So this is in the models.py. Okay. And it wasn't really approved, but we might have notes here about why it was not approved. And so we want to grab the notes here. Put it here, notes. This will be initially none. All right, in the next video, we'll cover how to publish the description, which means we're going to have to write it to the database. And we'll also have to check to make sure that there's only one food description per food. All right, if you have any problems, just give Jesse Kasman, drop him a line here, jkasman@opkey.com. He can also give you the latest GitHub repository code with the solutions in it. Just as a reminder, on this GitHub repository, we have the commits that are largely mapping to the part that we have. So you could check out by this commit number right here on the right-hand side, and then you'd get up to part 10, or if you wanted to do part 9 and have a working version and then try part 10, you could also do that. And then Jesse can help you get the source code